Welcome to Skill Builder. I'm Robin Clevitt. Now I'm going to ask you, if you're not a subscriber, that it's time that you subscribed.
Now, Robin, I want to mention our sponsor for this particular series is Screwfix. Now, you would have had this problem, I know, lots and lots of times. Dot and dab plasterboard, yeah?
Yeah.
Dot and dab plasterboard. You want to hang some kitchen units.
It's
on
everywhere now.
Yeah, and you want to put kitchen units up on the wall. What do you do?
What do I do personally? Sometimes I make myself a ferrule, which is a bit fiddly. So I'll cut a hole, pop a ferrule in, and then I'll put a screw beyond that.
That's brilliant. I'll tell you why, because Screwfix have made that plug with the ferrule, with the screw, all ready to go. We've tested it, we've shown it on Skill Builder. You put the plug in, drill the hole, put the plug in, 10mm hole, and then you tap your little ferrule in to the plug. That bridges the gap between the masonry and the plasterboard and gives you a really strong fixing, because it's a real interference fit, and then the screw goes straight through the middle of the ferrule. I've been keeping them on the van because I do things like hanging radiators on, you're never sure, boilers, things like that, anything. You don't want it to fall off the wall. If you don't want it to fall off the wall, Screwfix is the way to go. So thanks to Screwfix for sponsoring this particular series, and if you want to watch that video, have a look at it, see it in action.
For the observant of you, there's a couple of bits and pieces that aren't on the bench. So Mafell, we had it for a very short period of time, then it got whisked away as quickly as it arrived.
Chauffeur-driven limo.
It was literally like a chauffeur-driven limo.
They take it and they carry it very carefully in kid gloves.
Yeah, so that you're not seeing that on here, obviously, but you can see the footage of that.
The Makita, the Cordless at the end, which is running on two 18-volt batteries to make it a 36 volt, So that runs on those two batteries. If you're already running Makita, then that's an option for you. But what do you think about cordless track saws, Robin?
Well, I think that there's quite often a time for me, let's say I've just cut a roof and I've got to run the soffits round, it's quite often a time I might need to shoot them in up on the scaffold at the last minute, and having a corded track saw in that situation is just a pain. So that is perfect for me. I can lay the board up the rafter, put my track on it, and just shoot a bit off. So yeah, I like that in that element, and I wouldn't expect the batteries to be lasting for ages. If I was going to be cutting 4 sheets into lots of rips, I'd definitely have my corded one out in any case.
Okay, well I can tell you that we can cut through worktop with that. We got through 14 meters on those two 3 amp hour batteries. So you can extrapolate that. You can go up. 6 amp hour batteries are going to give you 28 meters or somewhere around that. So 40mm worktop, straight through, we got 14 meters. Now that would do a kitchen job for you basically, and that is a fairly harsh test for any track saw to do. Now I pushed it through in one go. Maybe I shouldn't. Robin says, oh, I'll do it in a couple of passes, but no, I'm going to go through in one go. I pushed it through, and you did have to nurse it through slightly. It didn't go through without protest, and actually what happened a couple of times, the blade stuck a little bit on it, and then it started spinning on the shaft. On the shaft. Yeah. So what I had to do is I had to get the Allen key out and crank it up, give it a good old tighten up to stop that. But that's a good thing in a way, because if that blade is jamming and the motor is still turning, you don't want the motor to drive, and you don't want to strip a drive on it. So having that is almost like having a clutch, isn't it, on it? So quite honestly, for me, slightly underpowered, I think. It annoyed me slightly that you couldn't go through, but if you were running through 18mm sheet, plywood and OSB and MDF and things like that, it would carry on doing it all day long, and you'd get a hell of a lot more than 14 meters out of it, because obviously it's thinner.
So we talked a little bit about this one. If you're as a heating contractor,
which is the Screwfix own brand, available in Screwfix for around about 150 quid. We haven't talked prices on them, but I think that is the main selling feature of it. It comes with 2 bits of track, which annoyingly you have to fit together, but it will run on other people's track, as will the Makita, but then you don't get that anti-tilt device if you're running it on another track. So you can see all these individual tests, by the way, so if there's any detail you're not clear about, have a look at the individual tests. But that nicely powered machine, and actually I thought, quite honestly, that if I just needed a saw, I'd even use that on site as a circular saw. The only thing I don't like about it is that blooming anti-kickback thing drove me nuts, because it was fiddling about. Every time you put it on the track, you've got to fiddle about to get it to sit on the track by doing that. So I've got to say, if that were mine, I'd probably be taking the anti-kick device off and being dead careful about how you use it, which is with 2 hands, yeah?
Exactly. Here's the Bosch. I actually really like the look of this when I first saw it. This looks like a really good quality build, and some of the parts of this are also made in the same factory, I believe, as the Mafell. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, apparently they assemble it for them, but if you look at it, there's very, very similar looking components on it. It hasn't got quite the refinement of the Mafell, but it's not as expensive.
No.
But it's a good machine. Again, it's a powerful machine, you know, the 1400 watts, isn't it?
It is.
It does as good it hasn't got the same motor as the Mafell. The Mafell had a QPEX, I think it was. It didn't protest, did it? It ran through very nicely.
If you know Bosch, so if you ever started out with a Bosch drill, like an SDS hammer drill, which was really famous 4 years ago.
Well, they invented it.
Exactly. This to me is like picking up a Bosch SDS hammer drill. You know what it's going to do, or you know at least what you expect from it, and it definitely gives you what you think it should give you.
Well, there's one more thing though. Do you remember the twisted plate on it?
Yeah, okay,
It's
so
got a twisted base plate, which
we did identify that this particular one that we have in front of us has got some curve in that base there. It's just not quite flat, and if I put it onto top of this board, I can rock it from side to side. So I think that was just a manufacturer issue, and I'm sure if you had one like that and you took it back to your tool shop that you bought it from, they would swap it no problem.
And you had another one, you'd start to worry, wouldn't you? For next
But
one.
I can actually see it through there.
Yeah, well, oddly enough, when we ran it on the track, it didn't actually make a lot of difference to the accuracy of the cut, did it?
No.
But I certainly wouldn't keep it. It annoyed me that it was like that. And I thought, what's going on here? This looks like the Mafell base, and it's got that twist on it. Anyway, apart from that little bit of rock and roll and the fact that I don't think we were over impressed by the quality of the little...
Yeah, it was just kind of like this lever, for example. That looks like it could wear. It's particularly sort of thin, but
not a bad machine, and it's almost the Mafell, but at a cheaper price.
Roger's tested this, haven't you?
Yeah.
I haven't had a good go.
Well, this was late to the party, this one. It went AWOL, so we didn't know quite where it was, but we tracked it down, if you'll excuse the pun. Right, so what we got on here is the 54-volt battery, which is their big flagship, you know, plenty of power in there. So you'd expect to get loads of power. It's also an 18-volt battery, by the way, whichever way you configure it in the machine. But with this, it's a 54-volt run. Now, it was powerful. I was very, very impressed by this. It's gutsy. Having said that, it's not cheap, and these batteries aren't cheap. They give you 2 of these in the box, and you can look at the price and see what you think, but it's a reasonably expensive option if you like, but it's got plenty of power. It doesn't have fantastically sophisticated things. It doesn't have click stops on the 45 degrees and all those kind of things. You can go over by just dialing it in, because it says 48, but you have to look at all that. So it lacks a little bit of refinement in it. I actually quite like the sort of rubber handles on it. I think it's quite a comfortable machine to use. The dust extraction wasn't amazing on it, but it certainly does a job. It went through the worktops without any trouble at all. It gave us 24 metres of 40mm worktop straight through. Pushed straight through. I wasn't kind to it. I just pushed it for all its life, and it didn't even cough. Nice machine.
Yeah, it certainly looks well built, and the other thing about this machine, mostly all track saws pivot from the rear, so when you plunge down, you plunge. This one here, Roger, you can explain what you know about it.
Yeah, well, it's a parallel plunge. It's hard for me to show you on the mechanism, but again, you can look at the review, and all the reviews, by the way, for all these saws are in the links below, so whichever one you want, you can go to, and it's very easy indeed, and you can see exactly what's going on. But basically, what we got is 2 parallel arms there, and it pushes the blade down straight rather than feeding in. Now, what's the significance of that, you might ask? The significance is that when you're plunging, doing a letterbox or something, maybe you're cutting out a hob in a worktop or a sink top in a worktop, you can just push that down, and you can see that it doesn't, it kind of starts from the middle, and it goes down. So if you're trying to do a really nice precise plunge, you can do it. But having said that, the odd thing is that it doesn't give you any window or markers in order to do that, in order to see exactly where it's going down. So for me, that's a little bit of an omission. The Mafell has that. They've got a little guide at the side that you can clip on, and you can actually see exactly where you're going. But with this, you've got to lean right over the top, and you've got to do it yourself. Nice and slimline casing, by the way. I like that. You can get right up to the wall on it.
Yeah, it certainly looks the part. I'll give him that.
One more thing I really like about this machine is the anti-kickback device on here. Now, yeah, you can choose to have it on or not, whereas the other one, on that thing, it's kind of a default thing. But on here, it's a lovely little spring catch there. You put it on and you can feel it. You just know when it's off, so you can slide the tool back and then you can put it back on if you're operating it with one hand, because although this is only cordless, a battery machine, it's got some grunt in it, and if it did kick back on you, it would surprise you badly. You can get badly injured on it. So yeah, if you can, always use it with two hands, but if you can't, that anti-kickback, which some of the others cover electronically, don't they?
They do. We have the Festool, and as you all know, I'm a lover of this particular saw.
I think it goes beyond love.
Yeah, well, it was the first Festool product I ever bought, in fact, this and the dust extractor. So I know it intimately, and I've done miles and miles and miles of work with it. I've never had a problem. It's never been off to get fixed. Nothing's worn out, apart from I've had new blades, of course, and I've sent the other ones away for sharpening. So yeah, this is a good tool. It is, and this is a newer version of my one. My one is 10 years old at least. So this is a newer version. For me, it's definitely market leading. Well, Roger, what do you think about it?
I think it's a pretty looking machine, and I don't doubt that it's a quality looking machine, but I think it's a little bit underpowered. Having tried the others, you said to me, take it through in a couple of passes into worktop. I don't want to do that. Quite honestly, this baby over here will go through in one go. It's got 1400 watts, this has got 1200 watts, and to me, they could beef that motor up a bit and do themselves a favour. I wouldn't mind betting on the next generation, if Festool are listening to people, on the next generation they would have upped that to 1400 watts, give it a bit more guts to go through. But there you go, that's just my opinion, Robin. I don't want to come between you and your love, I really don't, okay?
All right, no problem.
It's all right, okay.
Makita corded.
Yeah, well, this is a machine I have. This is my machine at home, if you like. I've had it a good few years. Don't use it half as much as you did. I wouldn't say I've done miles with it, but it's a machine I'm happy with. You know, it looks a little bit retro, looks a little bit sort of, you know, lacking it. It's got that anti-tilt feature, which the others haven't got, so it doesn't tip off the track when you use it. So I quite like that idea. It locks into the into the thing. So the little slider there at the front, those are the adjustments on the track, by the way. That's the only locking device it's got, but does the job. Not fantastically sophisticated.
I mean, I remember when you first bought this out of the box, took it out of the box and I had a look at it. I just like the simplicity of it, actually, and it runs up quite well as well.
Very similar in a way to the Cordless. As I said, the Cordless struggled a bit. Beautiful blade on that Cordless, by the way. It was lovely. The quality of the cut, and I wouldn't mind betting. I don't know, you've got the battery in, so we shouldn't leave the battery in if you're playing around with it, Robin, because
it's flat.
We don't want to do that. Yeah, I know it's flat. I still don't want you to lose any fingers. People keep commenting about the fact you've got all your own fingers, so let's keep it there. Right now, this blade, lovely. I think it's a thin curved blade, isn't it?
Oh, it's really thin,
really thin, and that's why you're getting such a lovely cut out of it. But that is also how they managed to do a cordless tool, because if they put a wider blade on that,
you remove it too much stock.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going backwards and forwards, Robin. We got to this. We said that's a good machine. As I say, I'm happy. I've got no real desire to change my Makita machine. I'll keep with it, except. No, okay, let's not go there at the moment. Let me keep my powder dry, as they say, for later. Yeah. Right, go on then.
And finally, we got the Festool, which is the 18-volt cordless,
which will run 36 as well.
It runs 36 as well. Again, I mean, what can I say about that apart from the fact that it gives everything this one gives me, except I haven't got a cord. So you know, I liked it. Simple as that. I mean, I'm not going to. I'm indifferent. I mean, I would always get my corded one out, but
you can get your corded one out. But if you wanted a cordless machine, those two are very, very similar in all their features, aren't they? I can't think of any feature that one's got that one hasn't, but I might find it eventually. You can run this on 1, so the 18 volt, when we ran it on 18 volt, it was okay, it did all right.
Yeah.
You stick the other battery in, boom,
Away
it
you
goes
go.
away. So here we are, we've come to the end, and I said that there wouldn't be any out and out winners because people are going, it's not fair. So we're just going to give you our opinion, you know.
We are, because I mean, there's so many variables to try and find an ultimate winner. You could be looking at, is it the most cost effective? Is that why it's the winner? Is the blade brilliant? Is that why it's the winner? But obviously, things like blades, you're going to buy this, you're going to use the blade, and you're going to find another blade that suits you better or whatever. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. So, Roger, what was your favourite? What's your favourite?
I don't have favourites. Like I say to my kids, I don't have favourites. Now, if I was looking for a cordless tool, it would have to be this Dewalt. It's gutsy. I like the 54 volt. We get great feedback on Dewalt from people. They're saying, you know, I've had Dewalt for years, can't fault it. So you know, it's got its fan base, and I am one of them actually. I think that's a lovely machine. Now, if I was looking for corded, it would have to be the Mafell. Now, you could say that's expensive, it's bound to win, it's the most powerful, but I'm looking at the price between the Festool and the Mafell, and it's not that much.
No, it's
and
not.
I'm thinking, you know, I'll get to my deathbed and I'll go, oh, do you know what, I wish I hadn't spent all that money on the Mafell. No, I'm going to think 2 weeks down the line, when I've been using it, I'm happy with it. The fact that it cost, even if it was 100 quid more, it wouldn't.
And you wouldn't mind the fact that the rails might not be compatible?
Well, the thing is, mate, you can take that little thing out the bottom of the track on the Mafell and you can use it on other rails. So,
true enough.
Okay, you can't swap and change between the two rails, but given the fact you get those two rails in the kit and the clamps and all the other bits and pieces, I don't reckon it's a bad deal. I really don't reckon it's a bad deal.
I thought you liked the Makita battery jaw.
I felt it was just a little bit too slow.
But when you were using it, you seemed to be enjoying it.
What I don't like is having to coax it through.
Yeah.
And it did stall a few times on me going through 40mm worktop. I just want to run through without any worry at all on a single pass, and that's what that Mafell delivered for me, and would do it all day long.
In an ungentlemanly fashion.
I do, yeah, that's me, mate. I just want to get home. This is you're on the spot now.
Cordless, because I'm running all the 18 volt Festool stuff, I'd probably go for the cordless as well, because it's like everything it does, I know where everything is. For me, that's what I would do. Corded now, if I was in the market to buy a new corded track saw, I would definitely, I would probably go for the Mafell.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I thought you were going to go there.
No, I think...
It would drag you away, would it? For an extra 100, if it was 100?
I'd run a Mafell as well as this, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd run a Mafell as well as this, and I'd probably have, in this one, I'd probably have my general purpose blade, which I'd be doing all my OSB stuff with, and when I was doing like a veneered board, like an oak veneer or a walnut veneer, that is when I'd get that beautiful engineering of Mafell out, and I'd get their little slim tracks out, and I would put that down, and I just feel like I'm paying the material the due it's worth, sort of thing.
I think your choice of app was good. If you're running that platform of batteries, you're already running Festool, you've got all those batteries, all those chargers around, you want that versatility, just being able to grab any old battery, shove it in there and do it. So I think for a lot of people, that will be the deal. Potential, if you like, if they're running a Makita, they've got 18 volt Makita batteries, why would you want to start a whole new platform? So I think in the end, what have we shown you? Nothing. We've been round the houses, we've tested all the machines, and what we end up with is the conclusion that it's really your own personal preference. If you want to do a bit of voting, follow the link below to Skill Builder, and you can vote for your favourite brand. You can tell us all kinds of things about what you want to see in the way of showdowns coming up in the near future, because we're going to do more, even though they're knackering.
Keep subscribing if you're not a subscriber. We've got loads of viewers who aren't subscribers, so we'd love you to join us as subscribers, because at least then we can sort of let you know when stuff's coming up.
Capture you, that's what we like to do.
Exactly.
It's nice knowing Roger, he's very cultured. I didn't know what tapas was, I thought it was something to do with plumbing.
These are
oh, they're black pudding.
black pudding. I love black pudding.